should you get and build Mlynar? Short answer, yes. Long answer, this entire video.
契約に基づき、カジミエーシュ領内での業務の補佐を務めます。ムリナール・ニヤールと申します。私の名前など、あなたはすでにご存知でしたね。私は騎士ではなく、騎士号もありません。
Mlynar is a 6-star liberator guard from Kazim Yesh. Paternal uncle of Operator Mlynar Niril, and the former head of the Niril family. The youngest son of Kazim Yesh war hero Kirill Niril, who has not accepted any knighthood title. During his youth, seeing the state of the country's knighthood, he refused to follow the family tradition to join a knight order, and instead, pursue his own ideals of knighthood. Traveling the rural area of Kazim Yesh, helping those in need and purging bad guys. Along with a bounty hunter named Toland Cash and his group. Because of his deeds, Mlynar became a famous wandering knight-errant. But around 15 years ago, his brother and sister-in-law have mysteriously disappeared. He spends years searching for their whereabouts. But his search was in vain, and chooses to put aside his idealism and head back home. Becoming the head of the Niril household, taking care of his sickly father and young nieces. But after a series of events in the 24th Kazim Yesh Major, he chooses to pursue his idealism once again, continuing his search for the Niril sisters' parents. Then after the events in Kazim Yesh rural area in an obscure wanderer event, he accepted a cooperation invitation from Rhodes Island to assist in dealing with affairs related to the Kazim Yesh region. Mlynar is our first 6-star liberator. Tequila, our first liberator, is an exceptional damager because of his burst skill. And Mlynar certainly can do more than him. So, let's see more about this best uncle in the world. As a liberator, Mlynar has 3 block count. But he will only blocks an enemy when his skill is active. During his idle state, he will ramp up his attack up to plus 200% attack over 40 seconds. Here we can see an idle Mlynar, reading that newspaper menacingly. After 20 seconds or have accumulated plus 100% attack. He will briefly check his phone and his sword will be ignited by a burning desire. After 40 seconds, his sword will have that golden sparkle effect. Now, Mlynar has a big attack multiplier in his skills. So you should wait until he maximizes his attack to make the most out of him. And talking about his skills attack multiplier. Attack buff from other operators can make a big difference in his damage output. Like using Warfarin, Skulter, upcoming operator Stainless, and many others. Also keep in mind when you use an SP support operator. They can make him charge his skills faster but you still need to maximize his tray. To make him deal peak of his damage. Now let's see his stats. Considering all of his defensive stats, Mlynar is currently the tankiest guard in game. This tanky stats certainly help him to mitigate enemy attack when he's blocking. As for attack stat, it is low. But thankfully with the help of his tray, he can have a massive attack that even beat the 6-star Dreadnought. Lastly, his cheap DP cost is very helpful to secure a position immediately in a stage. So that he can have time to charge his tray and skill first. Now for talents. His first talent will make him increase his attack when attacking. Further increase it and receive damage reduction when there are 3 or more enemies in 8 surrounding tiles. It's a great talent to permanently increase his damage. The second part of the talent is also great, but when using his skill 3, mostly it will only be active for a brief moment, considering that skill can easily clear enemy's swarm. Now for his second talent. When deployed he has a higher taunt level, meaning ranged enemies will almost certainly prioritize targeting him. And also this talent will make Kazim Yesh operators reflect enemies' attack, with true damage based on some percentage of Mlynar's attack. These are the current Kazim Yesh operators we have, and Mlynar also included. The aggro control, his tanky stats, and the ability to reflect damage. make him a great bait unit, and serving other purposes while his skill is not active. The damage reflect with true damage is nice. But while it is true damage, the number is not very generous. Especially when he hasn't maximized his trait effect. I rarely see Mlynar or other Kazim Yeshops kill an enemy with this talent. But all things considered, it is a nice talent to have. Particularly for some defense-oriented Kazim Yesh operators. And his aggro control can be a valuable asset in most cases. And this is his potential upgrade. Mlynar is an MVP unit in many future contents. So spending resources for his potential is not a bad idea. Especially with his skill attack multiplier, that attack enhancement is recommended. With his skill 3 the difference is around 200 physical damage. And currently, Liberator doesn't have module. Now moving to his skills. His first skill will multiply his attack and boost his defense. This skill provides a decent burst DPS, has a good cycle, and also the only skill that boosts his defense. But we don't use him for tanking, and his other skills are much better. So you better use his other skills once it is unlocked. Now for the second skill. Increase his attack interval slightly, expand attack range. Attacks deal 2 hits each dealing critical damage. And if Mlynar killed an enemy using this skill, his trait effect will not reset, and continues gaining attack after the skill ends if it's not maximized yet. This skill gives a high physical damage and has a very quick skill cycle, making it an ideal option to kill one enemy after another. And the ability to not reset his trait is awesome, and easy to activate. Also make it easier to work with SP support from other operators. All in all, this is a great single target skill, but still quite replaceable with other operators. And if you have already promoted him to E2, you should use his third skill. Last but not least, his third skill. Expand his attack range, give it a time bonus to the attack from his trait effect. But decrease the bonus by 10% for each enemy he killed. And this skill will multiply his attack, can attack up to 5 targets both melee and aerial. And enemies in range receive additional true damage when they got attacked by Mlynar or other Kazim Yesh operators. This skill single-handedly makes Mlynar the most busted operator we have so far. It can give him a plus 400% attack, and the damage multiplier makes his damage even bigger. Beating similar AoE physical damage dealer like Silverash and even Moistchen. This skill makes him both a perfect wave clearer and boss's killer. But be careful of the damage decay. If he defeat an enemy he will lose 10% attack buff. After defeating 20 enemies he will lose all of his trait bonus. So if you are targeting a specific enemy or bosses, it's best to keep the other enemies away from Mlynar if possible. Although if you're not fighting a tough boss, the damage he dealt even after some decay is still very high. Also, the trait effect attack bonus will increase the true damage from both this skill and talent too, giving it a decent number for additional true damage. And what I love the most about this skill is that the SP cost is almost perfectly cinched to maximize his trait effect. And with this skill initial SP cost and his defensive stats, it also makes him a great heli drop unit. Now for skill mastery priority. Well, skill 3 no doubt. Other skills are not a priority as other operators with similar single target skills can be an alternative. As for base skills, for the first skill, Mlynar will increase moral recovery of all ops in control center. And for the second skill, it pretty much goes like this. If you put him in control center, he will give additional moral recovery by plus 0.1 per hour to all operators in the following facilities. Additionally, all of these operators' moral recovery base skill will also work on the following facilities. So, Mlynar is good for your team. With his skill, notably his skill 3, he can wipe out almost every enemy in sight. And he is certainly a great investment for a newbie. He is great in every general story and event stages, and is widely used as a main damager in an advanced one like CC event. A great damager to be used in triple S even with a small operator buff. And for IS mode he is also a great damager. But it's not a good idea to choose Mlynar as your starting operator while having unreliable blocker. All things considered, Mlynar is a top tier unit. So grab your Piragi and or Rundum. We have a Wandering Knight to gacha, and a Bloodline to continue. That should be all. Just wait a moment. That should be all. Adios.